This episode is brought to you by Verizon. Verizon is going ultra, so your business can too, with our best business unlimited plan ever. Hey Monica, 5G ultra wideband is now in many more cities, with up to 10 times the speed at no extra cost.
Hello, downloads in no time.
With unlimited premium data and unlimited hotspot data, your team gets more done on the go. Right, Paolo? Oh yeah. You go, Paolo. 5G ultra wideband available in select areas with Business Unlimited Pro 2.0 smartphone plan. Speed comparison is median Verizon 4G LTE speeds. Download speeds may vary depending on network and coverage conditions and content optimization for 5G ultra wideband.
Empire.
Welcome to the latest edition of All's Caps, back from Beijing, with former Capitals defenseman Karl Alsner. I'm AP hockey writer Steve Wino. Good to see you, Karl.
Yeah, good to see you too, and still awake too.
I'm still awake. The jet lag is, I hope, knock on wood, over. I got a good night's sleep. Had a nice day in Paris.
Yes.
Had a chance to enjoy Paris on the way back from Beijing, and then of course came to MedStar Capitals Iceplex because I can't get away from the rink.
Where else would you go?
No,
exactly.
I chatted with Martin Ferivari about Slovakia's big bronze medal. It was the first ever Olympic hockey medal for that country, and he's like, I'm actually jealous. He's like, I'm jealous of that team winning first hockey medal. Did you see the photos in the streets?
No.
Miro Shatan tweeted this. Just the scene of celebration. Look at how many people are packed into the square in Slovakia to celebrate a bronze medal.
Yeah, that's one of the best things about this kind of Olympic setup, right? Is teams feel like they do have a chance. It's right there, but I do like that side of it. I don't like not having the strongest team, but it's nice that it seems like it's a little bit more wide open and teams have a chance.
Is there any sport, you grew up in Canada, a gold medal or nothing, is there any sport where you'd celebrate a bronze medal for Canada? Like speed skating, something like that?
Honestly, yeah, speed skating is one of them because I tweeted out there that I think that, what do they call it, where it's like 16
It's like the
skaters.
Roller derby almost?
Yeah.
It's a roller derby on ice, essentially.
There's a word for it. I can't remember what it said now, but that, like, because the Netherlands is always huge in that.
Yep.
There's some of the Asian countries that are really good, but whenever we finish anywhere in the top three, honestly anywhere besides hockey and curling, I'm pretty fired up, because we don't have that many medals normally, so it's good for us.
Canada in curling struggles. One bronze medal among the three competitions.
I know. I said every time I turned it on, I saw things were going south, and we don't get nearly as good of the Canadian feed out here too. So
right.
Yeah, I mean, part of that was, I guess, nice not to see some of the pain there, but yeah, we expect to do a little bit better in that one.
Yeah, and John, our boy John Walton, former guest on the All Caps podcast, was doing a lot of those hockey games from Stamford, Connecticut, not from Beijing. So I think he's still recovering. I think he actually had a worse run than I did because he had to do everything at weird hours of the day.
Yeah, that would be strange. Like being up, I tried to stay up to watch some of the events and the hockey and stuff like that, and it's just hard. It messes with you. It's like they always say with the shift work. It's difficult to live when you're up at those weird hours. So I think the way you did it was definitely better, even though you were.
We were in the bubble. We were in the bubble, but we still had our fun. And I could see the hockey up close. It was for all it was. Like U.S. losing in a shootout, that kind of stinks. Canada losing to Sweden, it took the buzz and the juice out of the tournament. But fun to see Slovakia win a bronze medal.
Yeah.
Finland winning the first gold medal in that country's history. It was fun.
And that was on NHL size ice, or
it was on NHL size ice.
It's kind of cool too because you get to see some of those European players play when it's in tight, and it's different for them, right? So it's fun to see how they can adapt.
And it hurt the Germany team because we couldn't adjust to the small ice the whole time.
Yeah, well, it's a major adjustment. Every time I notice when I go to a rink and it's these things that you're so used to being exactly the same way. Like it's happened to me with even a hockey stick, and this might seem really stupid or weird, but I had a hockey stick that was supposed to be the exact same weight as the ones I had before. And as soon as I got it, I went to shoot a few pucks. I'm like, this just doesn't feel right. The puck feels heavier. The stick, something's off. And the guy's like, no, it's the exact same. It should be, it's our new model. It's just different graphics and stuff. I'm like, okay, so I brought home my old one and one of the new ones and took it to Mandy's food scale in the kitchen. And sure enough, I think it was 7 grams off. And 7 grams was way more than enough to actually notice what the feeling was. Now there's a guy right there. Brock Miles just ran by. Guy is the busiest that I've ever seen.
Yeah, he works multiple jobs all the time.
All the time, and up so early, always one of the last guys. You know, a lot of love of the trainers. We'll get one of them on at some point too.
Would love to. Today, Tom Gulliti is going to join us from NHL.com. Next week, speaking with Jana Heffert from the PWHPA about the women's hockey event that's coming to MedStar Capitals Iceplex March 4th through the 6th, I believe. March 4th through the 7th, something like that, with the best of women's hockey here. But let's get to the Capitals. Nicholas Backstrom, he's approaching a milestone. Alex Ovechkin approaching a milestone in Jaromir Jagr. Alex Ovechkin and Nick Backstrom are going to play 1,000 games together very soon. Exciting times around here.
It is. There's always a milestone. Every year there's a milestone here, and usually it's just Ovi, but it's nice to see that Nick's getting in on the action too. So it's fun. I mean, one of the goals is for so many players is to try and play with a single organization their entire career.
Right.
To have a few guys now that are most likely going to be doing that for the rest of their time, and the relationship that we all have seen blossom over the years, and especially when they won, it's just really cool to see. And I think they'll really appreciate that once they're done playing. Like I'm starting to realize some of the the things that really mean a lot to you, and being able to spend an entire career with someone like that is probably pretty special for them, and I think they'll start to realize that.
Yeah, and another one, Pierre Laviolette for his 700 game. He just got the silver stick in the locker room, and so the Capitol social media posted that, so you could take a look at that, kind of what that scene was like. But that, just the longevity of it to me, for a coach to be able to coach that many games and win that many games, says a lot about a guy like Pierre Laviolette being able to adapt to what life is like in the NHL, right?
Exactly. That's like one of the main things is you think once you make it that it's like, yeah, I've made it, I'm set, and I can just kind of cruise the rest of the way. But I mean, especially as a coach, there's always another coach, there's always a stats guy, analytics person that's trying to change things and make things better. And if you don't keep up with the times, or at least trust people to talk to you and take what they've told you and input that somehow, then see you later. Like, it's not going to happen, right? And that's what I loved about when I was here with Trotzy and the assistant coaches that he had here, is that it seemed like it was a partnership. It wasn't just the head coach, it wasn't just Barry. Everything he says goes. He was really good at dictating who does what, and you go ahead. I'm not going to touch it. At least in front of
delegating
the guys.
a little bit.
Delegating, yeah, dictating, delegating, same word,
Yes.
right? And so he was just good at that. He was like, I'm going to be hands off of this. Foz, you take the power play. And maybe back in the coach's room, he was more involved in that stuff. But at least to us, it was like, okay, this is Foz's thing. Like, let's all listen to Foz. Same thing with Lane and the PK. And so I think that's so important. So to be able to be a coach, be that successful, get glowing remarks from lots of players, which is tough to do. Tough to have a lot of people like you. It's just a major accomplishment.
Sure. Capitals had a week off between games at the Rangers on Thursday night. What does that do to a player? And I know you obviously didn't have a whole lot of breaks like that when you were playing, but what do you do during a week off? I know you get a chance to practice time, a little bit of rest, but psychologically, how do you handle that amount of time off?
Well, it's interesting because they just came back from having an All-Star break too, right?
Yep.
And then you have another break, and I think it's good for people, not only the players but the families too, right? You get to spend a little bit more time actually being present at home, because when you have game after game, you're home, but a lot of guys are not able to completely disconnect. So I think that's just gives a good work-home life balance that I'm sure they all need. Saw some of the guys went to little staycations, I guess, places nice and close, and just got to unwind. But it is weird. I guess the team's been fairly up and down the last few games. So it could be a nice thing where they just had a chance to really break down a few things in practice and maybe go over some video and try and figure out where the things were coming up, that the issues that they need to address, and hopefully they were able to do that. But I mean, it's kind of nice having that much time off.
Yeah, and usually during late in an NHL season, you don't get a whole lot of practice time, right? Because your body's so kind of worn down from the grind of 82 games that every off day you get a chance, you want to have a little bit of that, right?
Yeah, for sure. And what's interesting too is, like, a lot of guys, especially if they don't spend time here in the summer, or don't have kids to keep them around after the season's over, you don't really spend much time in your city, right?
It's true.
You play every other day, and so it's not like you're going out exploring that often. You're trying to save the legs. You're trying to spend some time at home. And so when you have an opportunity to have 7 days off, or just to go around and do things that you don't get a chance to do. It's like one of the little pleasures that you just don't have that opportunity. So I think that they probably enjoyed that, and but I at the same time I'm sure they're ready to get on the road and play some games.
Speaking of the city, how's life at your house now? Where's the moving update?
Oh, man.
Family, dog, kids. Like where are things at in the Osner household?
So we're pretty much all set now, all moved in. Furniture, I think, is all there now. We got a few light fixtures, but that's not a big deal. So yeah, we're pretty set. We had our oldest dog, Murphy, who people have seen him tear up our house back in the day. He actually had back surgery. He's a dachshund, so
is he all right?
He's okay. Yeah, he's actually went down the stairs today. He wasn't supposed to, but he did for the first time. It's been about 2 weeks, but it's scary to have your dog go through something that major. And it's I don't know. He's 13, so it's like some people are like, well, the dog's old, it's gonna happen, but I don't know. We're all kind of about prolonging their lives as much as possible. Good lives too, not just to sit in bed all day. So, anyways, that was Murph. He's doing good, and yeah, kids are full time in school now. So I got like time on my hands. Like, what do I do with myself? I just can't wait for this weather to get a little bit more sunny and then start golfing a little bit.
You'll be golfing then.
I'll be golfing then. Yeah, when I have 5 free hours during the day, and it's got to take some phone calls every now and then. I'm gonna get good at golf. I want to hustle people.
That's perfect. And shout out to my parents' 16-year-old dog Ginger, who's a puggle, who she's diabetic, but like still like loves her life, and
that's amazing.
So just again, so 13's nothing. Like
that's pretty good actually.
16-year-old Ginger the puggle, who is always by my mom's side and
really
seems to love life.
I was just thinking this morning. So our other dog Charlie, he's 12, and I wish I just had as much energy as he does. Like in the morning, he pops up. He's so fired up to get that food in his bowl. He's just running all over the place. I'm like, I just want a little bit of what he has still. Like I don't know what that is in dog years. Probably like 60 something. But man, that guy's fired up. So she could be more like dogs, which I'm sure you agree with.
Yeah, and when you're 60, I just like Brooks always said he was going to play till 50. Like you can have that energy when you're 50, 60 years old.
Yeah. I guess it's a bit of a mental game at that point.
Absolutely. When we come back on All's Caps, we're going to be joined by NHL.com Capitals and NHL expert Tom Gulliti, talk a little bit about what's coming up on the Capitals schedule, and later Tom will take on Karl's Stupid Questions.
This episode is brought to you by Sun Chips. Sun Chips are making it easy to snack a little smarter this year, so you don't have to give up your favorite snack. Reveal what else you're never going to give up in 2022 for a chance to win $1,000. Official rules at nevergonnagiveit.up.com. No purchase necessary. Enter by February 27th, 2022. 18 plus, 50 US, DC, and PR.
This episode is brought to you by the Disney Bundle. This month, there is something for everyone with the Disney Bundle. On Disney Plus, watch unforgettable stories like The Book of Boba Fett and The Ice Age Adventures of Buck Wild. On Hulu, watch originals like How I Met Your Father and Pam and Tommy. And on ESPN Plus, score big with Our Time, Baylor Basketball, and NHL. Get more of what you love with the Disney Bundle for only $13.99 per month. Includes Hulu ad-supported plan. Access content from each service separately. Terms apply. See thedisneybundle.com for details.
Welcome back to All's Caps with former Capitals defenseman Karl Alzner and NHL.com's Tom Gulliti. I'm AP hockey writer Steve Wino. Tom, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
Your thoughts on the Capitals right now, where things stand? We got a bunch of milestones coming up, with Nick and Ovi playing 1,000 games together. When is Ovi gonna catch Yager? This is kind of encompassing your life right now, following all this stuff.
Yeah, I think it'll be happening pretty soon. I guess with 5 goals away now from tying Yager, so I feel like we're getting to that point where he has one big game, and all of a sudden you're saying it can happen any game. So that's something that he obviously got off to a great start this year, and then things happened in January with COVID and stuff like that, the slowdowns. But I feel like he was starting to get back in his rhythm again before the Capitals had this break. So it'll be interesting to see as he comes out of here where they start playing more regularly how he's playing again.
Yeah, I feel like it was funny, like coming into the season, everyone was kind of hoping that he was going to get to that record, and then he had the start that he had. Yeah. It was almost like it made it more real. And looking back at like how many different pieces of adversity he's had to deal with lockouts and now COVID and all that stuff, and the fact that he's as close as he is, like, does that surprise you at all, or you figured it was going to happen?
This year I thought he would get here. I don't know if I thought he would get here in February. You know, we need new into the season. Going into the season, he need 36 goals. So I thought he'd be a 40-goal scorer in that range. So I thought he would get here. Now I kind of feel like we've been waiting for a while just because of the way the schedule has worked out and everything like that. But I feel like it's not unexpected that he's doing this. He's climbed. He already passed Marcel Dion and Brett Hull this season, and now he's going to pass Yager, which is we're talking about very rarefied air here. After that, it's just going to be Gordie Howe and Wayne Gretzky, which is insane to even think about, right?
You've gotten a hold of Yager, right?
I talked to Yager a couple weeks ago. Yes, it was fun to catch up with him. When I worked in New Jersey, I covered him for a couple of years, so he was always an interesting guy to be around. He told me how very busy he is because he's not only still playing at 50, he owns the team he plays for in Glasgow. He's basically running things there. He's business responsibility. So he's a very busy man. He's not slowing down, even though he's 50 years old now.
Did he tell you what he's gonna what his plan is? Because he's come out and said that he can't really retire. Did he talk about that at all?
He kind of downplayed that part. He talked. There's things with sponsors where there's some concern that if he stops playing, the sponsors of the team will leave. His biggest concern right now is that his team Glasgow stays in the Extra League, which is the top league, Extra Liga, and they're kind of on the border of where they might have to play a play-in series to stay in or not get relegated. So he said if they don't get relegated, it would help them in first signing more players. Last year they got into the league so late that it was hard for them to sign free agents, so it was hard. It was difficult for them to put a really competitive team this year together, but they've been coming on lately, and if they stay in, he feels like that'll help them sign free agents, and then he's thinking about playing again next year. He thinks he's enjoying it still. He had some injuries a little while ago, but he's still having fun doing it, and he said he likes working with the younger players, so I think you could still see him playing next season again.
Capitals fans of a certain vintage don't have the greatest impression of Jaromir Jagr based on his time here, but I think enough time has passed. This team has won a championship now that I think everyone can kind of appreciate what he's done.
Oh yeah, and I think Jaromir now even talks about it. I know he was on TNT a few weeks ago and talked about how when he was here, it wasn't maybe lost a little bit of his passion for the game. It was the first time in his career he'd been traded. It was kind of a weird situation leaving Pittsburgh, and I think he admits that he wasn't at his best when he was here.
For sure.
But obviously he's been a great ambassador for the game. I was talking to Phil Borg when I was in Pittsburgh a few weeks ago. He was saying it's a shame he didn't play his whole career with Pittsburgh, which would have been great. But I also feel like the way when he came back from the KHL, it was like playing with one team a year. It was almost like he was on a tour where he was like just taking himself. He was kind of like spreading the Yager message everywhere. He had the traveling Yagers with all the guys wearing different jerseys. That was fun. Yeah. So I thought it was kind of cool that he was able to. A lot of people got to be around him and see him.
Yeah, well, it's so good for the players. Do you have a chance to play with someone like that? Like I've been thinking about this lately, and I don't like how often the word legendary gets thrown around. It's like, how many people can you call the GOAT? Like, you should only call one.
The GOAT thing bothers me more than the legendary thing does.
But like, I feel like he's definitely one of the people that you can call a legend, and the fact that so many players in the league got a chance to play with him, and that's something that can kind of talk about with their teammates, and I have people talk to me all the time, say, well, what's it like playing with Ovi and this and that, and I explain that. But for me, it's like I also got a chance to play with Sergei Fedorov, and he was me growing up watching someone like that, and so the fact that Jagr can people can say they've played with Jagr, been around him, and shared the same ice. I mean, it goes a long way. Like I think that's very neat.
Yeah, and Sergei Fedorov was actually with me in Beijing. He was one of the assistant coaches for that Russian team. And Ilya Kovalchuk, another former Capitals guy, was the GM of that Russian team that went home with the silver medal.
That's amazing. I love seeing that guys are getting into it, especially on the international stage, trying to help out their countries. It makes a lot of sense. It'd be fun to do that.
Peter Bondra was involved with the Slovakia team at one point.
Peter Bondra is the busiest person I know. Like, he is
busier than Brock.
That's a good question there. I think maybe different kind of busy, but yeah, he's got a lot going on. He's a big advocate for hockey, especially for over in Europe, and trying to get a bunch of charity games going. So I love what he's doing. But I think the more ambassadors we can have for the sport, I think it's the better.
Tom's fairly busy on his own. This is before we get into Capital stuff. How do you and you and I have very similar challenges in trying to balance like Capital stuff versus NHL. How do you prioritize your time with how much stuff you're needed here? You're going to Nashville this weekend for the outdoor game to try to keep your eye on the whole league and to focus on Capitals, since you and I are based here.
Yeah, it's you sometimes get really focused on the Capitals, especially like
Sure.
when Ovi is doing one thing after another. It's like hard to keep track of everything else. But like a couple weeks ago, I went. It was actually last week. Went to Vegas to be there for Jack Eichel's first game back, and like you really have to. You're grasping an entire new team that you've not been around before, for much at all, and so you're getting familiar with their stories and what they've been going through, and other people have injuries there, so it's definitely try to keep an eye on all the teams, but when you're especially go to the Capitals, most of the Capitals home games, you're really focused on them. You're not watching the games. That's why like if I have an off night, I will definitely try to watch at least one other game or parts of other games so I can see familiar what other teams are doing and who's playing with who sort of, but it's still really hard to keep track of 31 teams.
Yeah, I've actually been wondering this when I listen to the guys on the radio and stuff, and they're talking about, someone will call in and I want to talk about the Islanders, someone will call and want to talk about Vegas, and I'm like, how do these guys know everything that's going on with all these teams? So it's a good question, like, for both of you guys, like, if you are going to go cover the Vegas, do you read up on what other reporters have written? Do you call one of the beat writers and just say, hey, can you break down how things are going? Like, how do you find a way to kind of get your claws into the team and understand what's ticking?
Well, I knew why I was going out there was because Jack Eichel was probably coming back, so I read a lot about what was going on with him and kind of refamiliarized myself with what his situation with his disc replacement surgery and his neck and stuff like that. And I actually had done something on Jack when I was out there for All-Star because I had talked to Pete DeBoer, their coach out there, and he had mentioned that he might get cleared for contact. So I was a little familiar, so that helped some. But yeah, I did read up on what other people were writing about. So and looked at what they've been doing lately. But then you get out there and then to find out that Robin Lehner has an injury and where did that come from? And
Sure.
So but it's definitely fun to be around a different team and you get to see how different teams do things. I was familiar with Pete DeBoer because he was the Devils coach when I covered them. So it was fun to see him. He was like, "What are you doing out here?" And I was like, "Oh, well, I was in Vegas for All-Star and just stayed until you guys had something interesting happen." But
So you had 2 trips to Vegas.
yes, yeah.
In the span of 2 weeks.
Yes, it was interesting to be. I went there one week and there was still everything. There was mask mandates, and then went back a week later, and all the mask mandates were gone. So I'm gone. So it's almost like normal. So it's interesting, and it's always fun to see a game in Vegas too. The atmosphere there is unbelievable, and they were excited to have Jack Eichel come in and play his first game. So it's always that's a fun place to see a city and see a game. And I'm also looking forward to seeing what this Nashville game outdoors is going to be like because that's a fun city to be in as well.
Yeah, fun.
Okay.
You've never seen a game in Vegas as a fan, right? Like
As a
you've
fan,
played in Vegas.
I'm gonna go see a game in Vegas. I have
When
to.
the Caps are there, maybe?
Actually, I'm planning on. I'm supposed to be going out there for that, so we'll see. But
We should do all Caps on the road.
that would be kind of fun.
We'll talk to our people about it. I would love to go. I don't have any plans right now, but if someone wants to send me, wink, wink, if anybody wants to send me there, I'm happy to do it.
Yeah.
My Vegas story was, so I didn't go to the Cup final. AP didn't send me to Vegas for the Cup final. So my first chance seeing like the opening, the NHL did a puck and player tracking kind of like test there the next fall. And so a few of us were invited to go, and I'm in a suite with Gary Bettman sharing fries from Shake Shack with him, which is actually a very weird thing. And we're doing that, and the lights go down. He said, "Stop what you're doing. Go sit down and watch this." So like, Gary's standing next to me. We're watching this. And he's like, "Isn't this cool?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's cool." Like, Vegas did it right. The Golden Knights did like the whole production thing right. My mom doesn't like the whole production thing. She wants them to just play hockey and be done with it. But I just think there's something about Vegas and the show that's really fun.
Yeah, well, it gets people fired up. Like, how many times you go to a game and it's a library in there, right? It's because there's nothing.
I just dealt with 2 weeks of that in Beijing.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I don't want that.
You need something to get you going.
Vegas had to do that though, right? Like
They
that's
did.
Vegas, right?
Yeah,
like
true.
Vegas in Seattle, how they're doing their show. Not that it's bad, but it's like they're different cities. You're in Vegas. People expect a show, and there is one, and then you're like you said, you're all fired up for the game. The media, the bass is beating there. You're like your heart is coming out of your chest, and you're not even playing in the game.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
True. It goes such a long way. And I know it's an investment, and it costs a lot of money, and there's a lot of minds that need to be put together to, make it all happen. But it goes such a long way. Like, I give Montreal some credit here. They've done the torch on the ice, and it lights up all the ice. And Vegas does what they do. Toronto has a nice show. Vancouver does.
The one here is good too.
Yeah, it's been getting better, and you kind of have to do that because it's you're paying for a hockey game, and sometimes the hockey games aren't worth the money that you paid. So at least the show is good, and all the other things that go into it, the food and the whole experience, right? And I just think that it just makes so much sense for teams to put a little bit extra investment in it, and I feel like Vegas is leading the way in that.
Absolutely.
I loved going to Montreal to see the games there. Like I always tell people, if they're going to go one place, was Montreal to see a game, because like the atmosphere, the fans, like you said, the pregame stuff, the history, even
the hot dogs,
the hot dogs for the media, all that stuff. Good. The hot dogs for the players. And I know I'm sure you guys did too. You go into the locker room after the game, and there'd be boxes of hot dogs waiting for the players.
Not just after the game.
Before the game. Before the game too. I'd have at least 2 before every game I played there.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
I was one of those places where I just knew I'm going to feel crappy on the ice because I'm going to have a couple hot dogs in me, and that's just the way it is. So you have to try it. It's just one of those things that you need to do. Like, how many would you take down when you were there?
Oh, I would have like 2.
Yeah, I was 1 or 2.
Yeah. But, Chico Resch, who did TV for the Devils and now he does radio, he was, oh my God, he would double two hot dogs in each bun, and he would have like 12. I'm like, how did he do that?
Oh my
It's
goodness.
unbelievable. He would like go for the record. It was crazy.
Really?
So,
yeah. After every game, guys would go into the family lounge and have a couple hot dogs cooked up for him when I was playing there, and before that, you could always tell, like, you could smell when the hot dogs got there before the game, and some of the trainers would have them hidden in the trainers room, and I just sneak in there and load a couple up and pretend to be taping my stick while having a couple hot dogs, and someone else like Chimmer would come and join and grab one too, and then we go back and play the game. It's just one of those things you kind of like, yeah, it's business and you got to play good and stuff, but you also got to enjoy yourself. And
Right,
it was
sure.
like the one place on the road that I would do it. I talked about this last night in Buffalo. Always so fired up for the game to be finished in Buffalo because you could smell when the wings came into the room from the bench, and you're like, come on, let's go, running time, so we can get back in there and get some wings in us. But there's so many fun little quirks with a lot of the cities, and it'd be nice if everyone had their own thing. And so I know Vancouver has popcorn for the players. You open up the cabinet and there's like 30 different flavors of popcorn, the shakers that you can put on your popcorn. So there's a few cities like that.
Do you remember Steph Curry did like the popcorn ranking thing? Like he's a really big popcorn guy, so they had him rank all the great popcorns around the NBA.
Really?
Somebody should do that with the food that players have around the NHL. What's the best post-game or pre-game food?
Yeah.
That's a really good idea.
You guys are starving, so it makes it
eat anything. Yeah, we talk about the pizza because there's almost always pizza in the dressing room. So the pizza gets a lot of action, but it's not something I ever really paid close attention to. Like, I usually didn't grab a slice, so I couldn't really tell you, but we'll start working on that. We'll start asking.
Did Philly? Did you have cheesesteaks afterwards? Did they bring them in somewhere?
Yes, we did. I can't remember where it was.
Not Tony Luke's. Tony Luke's was like the one that's closest to the arena.
Yeah, I don't know where they would have ordered them from, but we did have those. That was like if you weren't in the room fast, like
they were gone.
They were gone. Yeah, guys would eat one and put one in their suit pocket. You know?
The one food we couldn't get in Beijing was pizza. You could not get any good pizza worth a damn in Beijing. Huh. So Paisanos was the first meal I ordered when I got back. It was, again, also not an ad, as we've talked about many times, not an ad yet. If Paisanos wants to get involved, pick up the phone. But you could not get a good pizza. You could have obviously good Chinese food. You could find good burgers. I had a yak burger that was terrific.
Yeah.
It was very good. It tasted like like a bison burger.
Really?
But that was like you could find good food. You just could not find good pizza anywhere.
Interesting.
Inside the bubble in Beijing.
Guess it's not a thing there.
It was. It might be a thing, but it wasn't good.
It wasn't good.
I think also the Olympics, since you were in a bubble too, but the food that's in the complex itself probably is not always the best.
We had hotels we could go to, so we could like seek out, like the Crown Plaza had a good restaurant, so we would go to the Crown Plaza one night and try to find stuff. But it's not like an NHL locker room where we're going to bring this to you and we think it's going to be good. Yeah. The robot burger was terrible.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's no love when a robot makes it, right? You need that extra love.
There was no texture.
No texture.
It was. No,
speaking of that, so Mandy, my wife, right now is doing. She's in a culinary school, and this morning she had to do different ways of making hash browns.
Oh,
and
cool.
Hash browns are dynamite. Everybody loves hash browns, I think. And so there was ones that were done in just in a regular stainless pan. Ones that were done in cast iron. Certain type of garlic on one with a different. I mean, just a dream right there. Is to have that's when you get the love put into the food. That's when it really shines, in my opinion.
Yeah, we talked about hash browns last week from Pyeongchang. We'd have our breakfast rotation
Exactly,
and the hash browns from there.
There's a theme here.
Breakfast theme. This could be the podcast of the Bell Center hot dog for all we know. When we come back on All's Caps, Tom Gulliti will answer Karl's stupid questions.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. With LinkedIn becoming #1 in B2B display advertising in the US, you've got a great advantage. With their tools, you can stand out against your competitors while nurturing customer relationships and growing your brand. So scale your marketing and grow your business with LinkedIn advertising. As a thank you to their customers for helping them grow 3 times faster than the competition, LinkedIn is offering a $100 credit on your next campaign. Just go to linkedin.com/marketing.
At Vanguard, we know that this is more than just a retirement plan. This is your cappuccino date in Italy, the beach house with the matching bicycles. It's your rental car down memory lane, and weekends reuniting with friends from over the years. This is the future you imagined, and we're here to help you build it. Because at Vanguard, you're more than just an investor, you're an owner. Discover the value of ownership at Vanguard.com. Fund shareholders own the funds that own Vanguard. Vanguard Marketing Corporation Distributor.
Welcome back to All's Caps with former Capitals defenseman Karl Alzner and NHL.com's Tom Gulliti. I'm AP hockey writer Steve Wino. And now Karl's favorite portion of the show, Karl's Stupid Questions.
Yes, here we go. So Tom, we've explained it to you. You've heard it and how it works. So, feel free to answer truthfully or hilariously, whatever you want to do.
Ideally both.
Ideally both.
Hopefully my truthful answers will be good.
Exactly. All right, so I like to ask this questions because I feel like you get a good read on people. But do you have a go-to drink? It could be alcoholic, could be non-alcoholic. What do you like to go to?
Well, if I'm out, I'll have probably some kind of IPA. But I haven't actually been drinking alcohol that much lately. So I just drink a very boring unsweetened iced tea is my drink really basically. I don't put any sugar or anything in it.
IPA's your jam?
Yeah.
You like you could get down with some IPA conversation.
I finally
right?
had an IPA in Paris. Was one of my. You couldn't get draft beer hardly anywhere in the bubble. So having an IPA that was like a Parisian, like actual French beer was great. It was like a white IPA. It was
really?
Excellent.
I used to be a big Guinness guy.
Yes.
But I kind of cut that out. I don't know why. I should go back.
Well, at the Irish Channel, Guinness is your drink of choice, right?
Yes.
So. Guinness is nice. For anyone who hasn't had a Guinness, it's like velvety. Like it's the only beer that I find that's like you're drinking a blanket. But
it's also not heavy on your stomach.
No, it's not.
It's like milk almost.
Yeah.
But just like the foam, especially the
foam
foam at the top and everything like that. It just goes down smoothly, like you said, like velvet.
I think it gets a bad rap because of how it looks. Like it looks like you're like drinking mud, but it's actually like you said.
It's the opposite.
It's the opposite. Yeah.
It's like 4.5 alcohol, so you're not gonna like. You're not going to go overboard. To me, it's like a great desserty drink. Like I'll start with Smittix and then go to Guinness. You've seen me do this on the channel 1,000 times. Smittix first and then Guinness and then...
What I'm looking forward to in Nashville, which I have not had before, but I just heard about, is something called a bushwhacker, which I've heard described. Have you had a bushwhacker?
No.
Apparently, it's like a Wendy's chocolate frosty, but with 151 dropped.
No way.
I'm all in.
That's what I'm looking forward to. So maybe I'll come back and that'll be my answer.
After joining us, it's my treat.
So that's amazing. Bushwhacker. Okay, I'll look into that. Next one here. This has never been asked before, but I figured I'd throw a curveball at you. What's your favorite flower?
My favorite flower?
Yes.
All right. So this is going to be tough because my longtime girlfriend does not like flowers because she's allergic, so I don't never buy them.
Janet's allergic to flowers.
Yeah, like I bought her flowers like when we first started dating, and then like she's like, please don't buy me flowers ever again. So probably most guys would be like, okay, that's good, but then you're like, what else do I buy, right? Like,
that's hilarious.
But so what is my favorite flower? I'll say like tulips. I don't know.
Tulip? No, that's a heck of an answer. I love tulips.
Does she like chocolate?
She does like chocolate,
okay.
and she's the best. She's probably going to be upset, maybe not upset, but she's the best because like she texts me last week. I was away for Valentine's Day, and she texted me the day after Valentine's Day. I got all the half price chocolate from the store, and she has a whole bunch of it for me when I got home.
That's a winner then.
Yeah. So exactly.
So this would be kind of stupid, but it would be kind of funny too. Is because she doesn't like flowers, you should go and get like a basket of the different types of like baking flour. Get a whole wheat, all-purpose, and say you can't have the real one. So here's these flours.
I would do that edible arrangements with
Yes.
the fruit
Yeah.
too, but that kind of got old after a while too. So.
If you ask that question again and someone says like baking flour, that's bonus points,
Well,
right?
They go.
When I was first thinking of the questions and I saw someone ask what's your favorite flour, the first thing that went through my head was whole wheat. And then I thought about it for a second, and I'm like, no, they mean like actual flours.
Right.
Like it was maybe.
I thought Marc-Andre Fleury was the answer to this. That's what I really thought.
Yes, only if he gets traded here.
Only if he agrees to come here. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. If Marc-Andre is listening right now, you can become the answer to this question if you want to get traded to the Capitals.
That's amazing. Okay, next one is: have you ever had a weird or awkward exchange with a player, coach, another member of the media? This kind of goes back to the Edmonton thing that happened a little while ago. Have you ever had anything kind of along those lines?
I don't know if it was anything like that public, because I think one of the good things about when you were in the locker room is that stuff wouldn't really happen.
Exactly.
But I've had things, where maybe a coach didn't like a question or something like that. I'll tell you a story. I covered the Devils. Pat Burns was there, and the way he was, and I think he would test media the same way he would test players. So
Sure.
like if he didn't like something you wrote or something like that, all of a sudden he'd seek you out, like, what is this? I didn't say this, or like that. And then he'd give you a hard time, and then the next thing you know, like the next day, he's like, we're all good, right? And like it's just the way he wants to see how you react to it. He wants to see how you react to him, stuff like that. I had some incidents where like I wrote something and Lou Lamoriello called me at like 7:30 in the morning to complain about it, but then within hours, that was rare, by the way, but it did happen. Yeah. And then he would say his piece, and then like it never happened.
Yeah.
So.
But that's what Carl and I have talked about this on the podcast a lot about when you can do it privately and you can hash it out with somebody. Sometimes it gets better. Like your relationship as people, you have a conflict, and then it can grow from there. Mm-hmm. And it's not viral on Zoom or viral on social media where all of a sudden everyone's kind of like piping in about it. You can have a personal discussion with somebody and say, I'm pissed at you, you're pissed at me, this is why, and then move on past it.
You can explain yourselves, both sides. And,
exactly.
and a lot of times, sometimes it's just a confusion or
misunderstanding
or whatever. Or what you meant to ask or what you meant to do didn't come out the right way. And like you said, it leads to then maybe better conversations in the future.
Sure. A mutual respect builds up when you can do it privately.
Exactly.
Zoom, unfortunately, and the way things have been the last couple of years, that's been harder to establish.
Yeah, you don't have like facial expressions. You don't have cameras on and stuff. So it's sometimes the way a question is delivered.
Right. Exactly.
So, all right. Do you have a word that you misspell?
A word I misspell?
Yeah, I have lots.
I do have words I misspell. I got to think about. A lot of them when I mix up the E and the I. But
yes.
Achieve and privilege are two of mine. I can't.
Yeah, that's like two. Yeah, exactly. Like do that a lot, and it's like my typing. It's just the way I type it a lot. Yeah. Thank God for spell check, but I gotta think of one word I always get wrong.
I had this exact thing happen today where I misspelled the word field. I just did that. I put the E before the I, and my son, who's 5, came in and corrected me. And I'm like, geez, he's already better than me.
I'm trying to think of a word that I always misspell, though. I can't think of one specific one.
Is there a player's name you'd always you'd trip up on?
Yeah, I have to copy and paste some of them.
I was doing this with the Russian team at the Olympics, where I was just like, I've never heard of a lot of these guys who are in KHL, so I'm just like, Demir Sharpazanov. Like, nope, I can't do that without copying and pasting.
Recently, Kirill Kaprizov, because I don't remember how many L's are in his name and if there's an A in there.
Right. Valtteri Filppula was one of mine.
That one's the hardest one.
Is it Filppula?
Yeah, because how many L's?
It was 2 T's and 2 P's.
Yes.
But
only 1 P?
Yeah, and under 2 P's.
2 P's.
Yeah. Yeah.
There we go. See?
Yeah, see?
That's what happens.
Sorry, I didn't
that's gold. By the way, that's gold medal, Olympic gold medal winning captain Valtteri Filppula.
Yes.
For everybody, since I was dealing with this for the last 2 weeks.
If anyone saw my notebook here, they'd be like, holy crap, this guy can't spell. I'm a terrible speller. Okay, have you ever had food poisoning?
I have.
And what did you get it from?
I was in Tampa and I had an omelet which I think was undercooked. And so it was I had flown in, there was a back-to-back situation. I had flown in that morning, had breakfast at the bar, how they have the little buffet, and the guy made the omelet, and then it hit me during the game, which was not good. I made it through the game barely, and I got back to my room, and it was one of the worst nights I ever had in a hotel room.
Oh my goodness.
But you made it through the game.
I made it through the game, yeah.
Holy smokes. Then you had to fly out the next morning?
I had to fly out the next morning,
And you were okay at that point, or still feeling
I wasn't great on the plane, but I made it.
Oh man, you had it before, food poisoning? Oh, never?
Not
Really?
that I'm aware of, but I don't want you to just jinx me.
Yeah.
Because I know you believe you're superstitious about things like the penalty kill. I'm superstitious about I don't want to talk about how I haven't gotten food poisoning.
Really?
So far,
Hopefully food doesn't happen.
I'm hoping that's not around the corner.
I had it from lasagna. I didn't eat lasagna for like 20 years. I couldn't do it.
Really?
Got it when I was young, and I wouldn't do it. Now I'll dabble a little bit, but oh man, lasagna still freaks me out.
That's my family's Christmas Eve dinner every year. It's always lasagna.
Oh really?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
And it does not give you food poisoning.
Doesn't give you.
No.
it's done
No
well.
food poisoning.
Well, I got it from a pizza place that should have stuck to pizza.
Yeah, don't mess with that. What are you doing?
Okay, this one I kind of was thinking about how to. This is like a would you rather type question on this one, and I'm not sure if I've got it quite worked out the way I want, but let's go for it anyways. Would you rather burp for 30 minutes every time after you ate for an entire year? Would you rather have hiccups for 3 hours a day, every single day for a year? Or would you rather have to throw up once a week for a year?
Once a week for a year, so it's burp for how long?
Burp for 30 minutes a day, every time after you ate.
I think I'm just going to go with the throw up every once a week.
Really?
Just to get it out of the way.
I guess for me, I hate throwing up, so that was
Not
like
that
a
I
non-starter.
like throwing up,
well,
but,
I know,
but like if you do it, then it's over.
Yeah.
And then the other ones are you're saying every day and every for a year.
Yeah.
That's annoying.
Yeah.
At least I get it over with once a week, and then know the rest of the week would be fine.
Yeah, but what if it doesn't happen on the same
Oh,
day?
it's
What if
random.
random.
Then,
It might be right now. All of a sudden, it just happens.
If it's random, that's bad because that could happen at a bad time.
It could happen at a very bad time.
I think burping is the answer to this one. I
Burping
don't love the idea, but I think that's the answer here.
Really?
Yeah.
If I
hiccups
can't-
are the worst.
Yeah, if you don't know when the time is to throw up, I would go with burping also. Like you could,
burping
especially if it's after you eat.
Yeah,
So
you know
then,
what to
like,
expect.
You know what to expect, and then you can
Yeah.
plan that not around being around like a bunch of people or whatever.
Okay, perfect. Actually, an interesting throw-up story. It was not about me, but we were in New York, and it was me and Weber, and we went to go eat before the game. Both of us weren't playing, and I wasn't really eating meat at the time, and he wanted to order this tomahawk steak. It was a massive steak, and so he had, I think, 2 bites. I was kind of pushing it around, debating whether or not I wanted to have any, and then all of a sudden he gets up and just goes to the bathroom, comes back, and still pushing his food around, not really touching it. Goes to the bathroom again, comes back, and he's like, "Hey, we need to go." I'm just like, "All right, like, do you want to take this to go?" He's like, "No." Like that, just no. And so pay the bill, get up, walk outside, and turns around the corner into the alley and just lets it fly. And I'm like, "Dude, what's going on?" He's like, I had a piece of steak stuck in my throat, and I was trying to wash it down with water, but the water just kept building up.
Oh, no.
And he couldn't get it down. He's like, "It happens to me every now and then."
No, it does happen.
And then he finally got it out, and we left. And I'm like, not only did I pay for this tomahawk steak that was like, I think it was $100 just for the piece of meat, and he didn't eat it, I didn't eat it, and then we just boogied, and he was joking the whole time, didn't even say anything.
Oh,
I'm like,
man.
"What the heck are you doing, man? Like, I could have helped you. I could have maybe tried to save you there."
Right.
And just nothing.
Like a Heimlich situation.
I'm
Like a
glad,
Heimlich
no one died or
situation, yeah.
passed out
Oh,
or
yeah.
anything like
Yeah,
that.
we had that with Jeff Schultz, who used to play here in junior. He choked on something at a pregame meal, and one of our teammates had to give him the Heimlich and pop it out of there. Just Schultzy. Crazy. All right, let me add this up for you here.
I hope I did okay.
No, well, you hit it with tulips. That was a good one. You had something with food poisoning, so I can relate to that. And the would you rather, the burp one, I'm still thinking it's throw up. I want to go for it. Okay.
I still think the randomness of it throws that off.
The randomness?
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of messes you up,
But I
right?
knew it was like every Monday.
Yeah, you can schedule it.
I could
Schedule it, here's my
But I know
throw
at
up.
least Tuesday through Sunday. I don't have to worry about throwing up today. Like,
Exactly. That's amazing. All right, I'm hitting you right here with a 101 points, tied with Ben Raby.
oh, okay.
Yes.
I'm fine with being tied with Ben.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think that's pretty
Aren't
solid.
you also tied with Ben Raby in our Spot the Cow winning?
Ben has won once. I have won once. So has Andrew. So.
Okay, so you all have one more
Yeah.
championship on this than I do. we bet on Spot the Cow at every game.
Oh,
we
do
bet
you?
on what section the cow gets spotted in.
Oh, really?
Just a small little among us writers, since
Yeah.
we're degenerates.
That's a good one.
And we enjoy it. And I really missed it when we didn't have Spot the Cow.
You were still, and you were still doing it from China.
I was guessing from China.
Were you really?
Oh yeah.
Is it? Do you find that it's normally in an upper deck or lower
They
deck?
move it
or
around.
It's just completely random.
It may not be random to them, but we
Yeah.
have to have some scientific reasoning for
I
why
think
we
they
guess.
don't do upper, like, if it's, I think it's mostly an upper deck, but if they did an upper deck one game, the next
They'll move
game,
it.
they'll move. It won't be there the next game.
Oh,
It'll
really?
be somewhere else.
Interesting.
But I think it's most common and on the top. That's my observation, but I could be wrong.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Is it? That's fun. I'm gonna start doing this too.
Spot the
We
cow.
put a lot of thought into Spot
We
the
put
Cow.
a lot of thought into it over the years. Spot the Cow champion Tom Gulliti, thank you for joining us on All's Caps.
Glad to have been on.
Thanks everyone for listening. Next episode, we're now 2 a week on All's Caps. We're going to hear from Jana Heffer from PWHPA about the women's hockey event coming to MedStar Capital's Iceplex from March 4th to the 6th. We'll talk to you then.